Hey everybody, sorry for the poor lighting. It's nighttime. I need to start doing these videos more in the day, but today was very busy. I didn't have much time. This is quickly, I want to talk about a subject that's very close and personal to my heart, and that is my Egyptian national side. For those of you who may not know, I am half Egyptian from my father's side of the family, and one of my biggest dreams is to see Egypt play in a World Cup. But the last time they've qualified was in 1990, which is a few years before I was born. So it's been an agonizingly long wait. And one of the main things I want to see in my life is Egypt playing at the World Cup. I've watched five World Cups now, ever since France in 1998. Um, and I always have a few teams to cheer on, specifically the U.S. But I've never seen my father's home country in the main event, and I want them to make it, not just for my own liking, but also for his sake. I think he would like to see it as well. Um, Egypt's only went to the World Cup twice. 1934, way back then, and 1990 in Italy. And, well, coincidentally, both tournaments were hosted in Italy. And looking at the picture right now, Egypt is sitting with 6 points in African qualifying Group E, ahead of Ghana, Uganda, and the Republic of Congo. Ghana is in very bad shape right now. They're set to become one of the favorite African sides to fail to qualify for the fourth World Cup in a row. Egypt is a full 5 points ahead of them with 4 games remaining, two of them coming this summer away and at home against Uganda, followed by another against Congo and on the road in the final game against Ghana again. Um, I'm very optimistic that we can finally get the job done and make it. But we've been in this road before where we've come very close to clinching a spot only to have it swept right under our feet. 2010 against Algeria was a prime example. I remember in the final match against Algeria at home, we had to beat them by 2 goals. We did. We beat them 2-0 with the second goal coming in the 95th minute, the fifth minute of added time. And the whole stadium just went nuts. I was at an Egyptian uh, hookah lounge, and we were watching it there, and everyone just went crazy. But that wasn't enough because we needed to win 2-0 in order to bring the deciding fixture to a playoff against Algeria, where we had to play them again at a neutral venue. We played them in Khartoum, Sudan. We lost 1-0. It was very heartbreaking because 2010 was the year that Egypt had just crowned off its third consecutive African Cup of Nations. And that's another touching point that's so frustrating for myself and other Egypt fans, is that Egypt is a side that is a traditional African powerhouse. They've won 7 African Cup of Nations, 3 of them in a row in '06, '08, and 2010, a feat that has never been accomplished by any other side in African history. And it was just so daunting and almost incredulous how a side that we had, which is our golden generation at that time, couldn't go to the World Cup in either '06 or 2010, both of them being very close encounters. And then in 2014, we had that African World Cup qualifying schedule that was really harsh on everybody because what FIFA did that year was they had all the teams divided into 10 groups of four. The group winners advanced to the last round of African qualifying, which was a two-legged playoff. And then the winners of those playoffs, the 5 winners, went on to qualify. Well, what happened was we won 7 of those games, all 6 of our group games. We won the return fixture in the playoff against Ghana, and we lost on the road against Ghana, albeit very, very badly, 6-1. But out of 8 games played, we won 7, we lost 1, and we didn't go to the World Cup. But it wasn't just harsh on us. The whole qualifying system that year for Africa was really harsh on a lot of teams. So, you know, but this year I'm really hopeful that we'll finally get that psychological hoodoo out of our mindset and finally push ourselves to reach the World Cup this time. We're under a new management, Hector Cooper, who's an Argentine coach. He's very famously known for getting teams to finals of tournaments and losing. He did so with Valencia twice, I think, in the Champions League back in the early 2000s. And in true form, he surprisingly got us to the final of the African Cup of Nations last February, which to me was a shock because if you've been paying attention to the scene of African football in the last few years, after 2010's third championship in a row for Egypt, we sort of went off the radar. We sort of declined in form, and we had one of our worst slumps in recent memory. I fully did not expect us to have much of a chance entering this qualifying cycle for 2018. And when I saw the draw for the African Cup, I thought we're not getting out of the group stage. I didn't think we were going to come out of the groups, to be honest. But not only did we, but we just won every game without conceding any goals until that semifinal against Burkina Faso. And what was at once a mainstay weak point of our team, the defense, was surprisingly the most efficient aspect of our lineup. We did not concede any goals until the semifinals. We had a 44-year-old goalkeeper, Assam El Hadari, who's great, but we did not expect him to be in such a form that he was for that tournament. And then in the final, as we know, Egypt lost to Cameroon. I wasn't even bitter about it, honestly. It sucks when you lose a final, and it especially sucks when you're leading at halftime, only to give up that lead. But it was a very pleasant surprise for me that we got to the final, and I hope it's sort of indicative. The year that we made it to a final and actually lost, because we're not used to losing African Cup finals, maybe that's going to be a sign that we'll finally get back to the World Cup. Because previously in 2006 and 2010 and in 2008, when we won the finals, we couldn't go on to the World Cup. So Africa did not have its African champion going to the World Cup, which was super frustrating. Especially since 2010 was in South Africa, the World Cup being hosted on the African continent. So I was very mad and sad. So I'm really looking at our team now. I think Cooper's got them very well organized, very motivated, because we are in such a distinct, advantageous position right now in the group. With Uganda, who really is the weakest side in the group, but they're in second with 4 points. If we can get 4 points out of those 2 games on the road in Kampala and at home, I think we're in a really great position to go to the World Cup. I think we'll be overwhelming favorites from our group to qualify. Maybe we'll have it wrapped up early at that point, but I don't want to rush that far ahead. I don't want to get my hopes up too much, because the pain in previous experience has sort of hardened me and told me not to expect very much, to be honest. But yeah, that's all I want to say about Egypt. But right now we're looking good. I'm feeling very hopeful we can get back to the World Cup. We're rebuilding right now. It would be really ironic if this Egyptian side, honestly, guys, I gotta be honest, this is the worst Egyptian team. Yes, we have great individual players like El Nene and Warda and Salah, and our goalkeeper Hadari is still going strong at 40 plus years of age. But this is in comparison to the teams that we had of the early to mid 2000s and even the late 90s. This is our worst national squad we've had in about 15 years. So it'll be really ironic and kind of funny if we do get to the World Cup with this squad. But if we do, I will be happy, and it will be doing justice for all, making amends at least for so many years of disappointment. And I'd love to get Egypt back at the World Cup in my lifetime, and I hope it happens for Russia 2018. God willing. All right, well, thank you for your time. Remember to like, subscribe, comment below, and stay tuned tomorrow, guys, because I'm going to give my predictions for the African Cup of what am I saying? That was on my mind. For the Champions League semifinals. I made a reaction video last week, but I didn't give scoreline predictions for the first leg. I'm going to give first leg Champions League semifinal predictions for both games on Tuesday and Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to separate those predictions into 2 parts, 2 different videos. So till then, guys, peace out. Thanks again.